Long lines, empty shelves, and full grocery carts, a common sight throughout the metro in southern Indiana. It seems these shoppers are ready for hibernation. A bus trip from Chicago to Nashville left 63 passengers unexpectedly stranded in Jeffersonville for hours. The bus was from the discount provider Megabus. It broke down near Memphis, Indiana around midnight Saturday. A 21-year-old Indianapolis man is behind bars, listen up, accused of stealing jars of brain tissue and then putting them up for auction on eBay. Police say David Charles broke into the Indiana Medical History Museum several times over the past year to steal the jars filled with brains. The preserved tissue was from autopsy samples spanning from the 1890s to the 1940s. Every worker should be making more than $10 an hour. At least that's what Kentucky's House Speaker thinks, and he plans to push that idea starting Tuesday. Wayther News reporter Theo Keith reports from Frankfort, where he found the proposal faces major challenges. On a bike for more than 200 miles, while the ride in freezing temperatures was tough enough, he did it all while wearing a gas mask. Wayther News reporter Katie Bauer discovered the military veteran hopes to raise awareness about a dark side affecting thousands of military men and women who've come home. Well, the eyes of the college football world are on Austin, Texas, and maybe here. And who will fill that vacant coaching job? Louisville football coach Charlie Strong tops the list of many analysts. A mother and son were killed in what police believe was a double murder-suicide. The boy is the son of a Meade County Sheriff's deputy. Investigators believe it's an isolated case stemming from domestic violence. Our coverage continues in Brandenburg with Wayther News reporter Katie Bauer. Coming up on 6:04, and in Clark County, police say a teen who claims she was grabbed and sexually assaulted on her way to the bus stop made up the whole story. We first told you about this Tuesday night and the search for a white van in Utica after a teen told Clark County authorities she was assaulted in the High Meadow subdivision. Well, Wayther News talked to the Clark County Sheriff, who says the teen admitted she lied. It's not yet known if the girl could face charges for filing a false report. We'll have much more on this story in the next half hour. Well, a drive-by shooting sends one man to the hospital and leaves police searching for the person who pulled the trigger. It happened early Friday morning near 25th and Main in Portland. Police said the man was shot at least once from a passing vehicle. Marshall Street is still blocked off. You can see an LMPD cruiser here. The fire actually happened on Marshall Street, just beyond my shoulder over here. Fire trucks are still on the scene, making sure there aren't any hot spots. Right now, there are a lot of emergency crews here. Just to give you a layout of the land, we have Metro Police down here, a part of the effort blocking the roadway. And as far as the eye can see, there are vehicles lining up Dixie Highway as they all come together on this emergency situation and figure out what exactly occurred and what exactly the situation will pose for neighbors and any residents in this area. Again, 47 patients total taken to the hospital, including all those patients on this JCPS bus involved in this accident with a red Mustang. I'm going to show you the scene here behind me as emergency responders are still working and making sure that all the parents that came to the scene are notified and told to go to Frost Middle School to find out the condition of their child and whether or not they were transported to the various hospitals throughout the metro.
She was left with a crater in her face after receiving radiation treatments that she didn't need. Wayther News reporter Scott Adkins spent some time at home with her here as she prepares for life-changing surgery. And Scott, she tells you this is not about vanity or appearance.
Exactly, Janelle. A woman beginning a new life in Louisville can't speak, chew, or exhale. She's left disfigured after being mistreated for a tumor on her jaw. 10 years and 2 continents later, she's receiving the help she needs. Now, some of the images you're about to see are graphic.
She had 3 days to 6 months to live.
Doctors didn't get that right. 12 years since Lacia Senek's diagnosis.
Equals 6.
The Russian-born mother of 6-year-old Eric
10.
is no longer counting how many days she has left.
She didn't have cancer.
Yet the damage is done.
Не знаю, было тяжело, конечно, но я...
Targeted radiation treatments cause Lacia's jawbone and cheek to deteriorate.
5. И это?
What they did, they killed tissue, soft tissue, bone, teeth.
A Russian doctor misdiagnosed a tumor for terminal cancer. Unnecessary medical care caused Lacia's skin and jawline to decay. As her face fell apart, so did her life. The cancer treatments killed her unborn baby. She became homeless and barely made enough to support herself until her cousin Oleg Sinek, seen here with her in the Ukraine as children, tracked her down online and flew her to Louisville.
She's a trooper.
Oleg couldn't spend another day knowing Lacia was living with a hole in her soul.
She always knew that I existed somewhere, but she didn't know how to reach me.
It's a tedious routine just to get ready. 7 times a day, she lays out this spread. Gauze, tape, and scissors. It's what it takes to patch the empty space. But that's about to change.
We have enough skin to resurface the outside of the face.
When Dr. Jared Little discovered Lessa, the plastic and reconstructive surgeon agreed to lead a series of surgeries.
We'll remove the jawbone from the middle all the way up here to the hinge joint.
University of Louisville physicians is making sure Lessa can live a life without covering up what unnecessary radiation left behind.
Certainly, if anybody deserves a chance of a new life, it's Lacia.
She says faith has always got her through.
She went to church very often to just pray.
And she's optimistic for better days. It'll cost more than $1 million to pay for the procedures, but she won't be charged a dime. Dr. Little and his team are doing it for free. And Dawn and Janelle, is certainly a story of inspiration and hope. This all begins in November.
That is unbelievable, and I guess to do all of that, they'll take a bone from another part of her body?
Exactly, a part of her leg, and then they'll transplant it there and reconstruct her entire jaw.
It makes you really grateful just to be born here and to see what she's gone through and to come over here and get that fixed.
Her prayers answered.
Yeah.
All right.
They'll get as much as she gets, I'm sure, from that, or more.
Thank you, Scott.
Well, something strange in a neighborhood. A man dressed up as a Ghostbuster, posing for photos at a school volleyball game.
But what is alarming here is this man is a convicted sex offender and has been around children now for 2 years. It wasn't until recently the man was booted from a group that entertains crowds. Wave 3 News reporter Scott Adkins joining us live from Metro Corrections with exclusive video tonight. And Scott, this man just got out of jail?
He posted bond this evening, and we had a chance encounter with the registered sex offender accused of dressing up as a Ghostbuster and posing in pictures with children on a school's property. Suited and often surrounding that iconic ectomobile in the Pegasus Parade, parties, and fan festivals, Brian Patrick Scott played the part of the Louisville Ghostbusters until his own group busted him.
He was with us for almost 2 years.
The Louisville Ghostbusters, a group of friends who enjoy going out in the community dressed up like the characters from the 80s flick, kicked out Brian Scott when they found out he's a registered sex offender. Most recently, arrested for visiting a volleyball game at Beth Haven Christian School. Here he is leaving jail Tuesday. More on that in just a moment. But first, here's what police say got him locked up again.
He had brought his car that looks like the Ghostbusters Hertz or response vehicle, whatever you want to call it, and he was in his costume, and we have pictures of him with children taking photos, inside and outside the property.
Wave 3 News wanted to know why he did that, considering his probation prohibits sex offenders on school property. That's him under a hood leaving Metro Corrections. Why did you dress up as a Ghostbuster at a volleyball game? Give me my mic back. He never answered the question. You should know the Kentucky Department of Probation and Parole governs activities on those on the sex offender registry. Scott was convicted of possessing or viewing matter portraying a sexual performance by a minor.
Who's responsible to make sure it doesn't happen again? I suppose that's the courts, the community, law enforcement, and probation and parole.
And it was the community this time around that tipped off police about this incident at Beth Haven. The school made it very clear in a statement that Scott was not invited and not affiliated with the school. Scott Adkins, Wave 3 News.
$1 million That's how much money you've spent on a habitual offender who's been locked up in Metro Corrections. Get this, 152 times.
LMPD busted him again this week, and we saw some red flags, so we started digging. New at 6, Wave 3's Scott Adkins combed through all the arrest reports. And Scott, how is this man getting out of jail so much?
It's alarming, but most of these allegations are misdemeanors dating back to 2002. Police busted Alejandro Rodriguez this week. They say for threatening that he had a bomb. Obviously a very serious allegation, but even more alarming, just how many times he's been in cuffs and then let back out. Like age progression.
He's been arrested 152 times.
Mugshots capture Alejandro Rodriguez through the years.
2,200 days in jail.
And that's since 2002. Just this week, Wave 3 uncovered this police report. Cops arrest Rodriguez for calling 911 at a gas station, claiming he had a bomb in his beer.
The cops bring him, we're taking him.
Medical privacy laws prevent Metro Corrections Director Mark Bolton from revealing whether Rodriguez has mental issues. But this highlights a problem hitting everyone in the Metro. The jail paying to feed, clothe, supervise, provide personal hygiene, and medicate inmates, regardless who they are or what they're accused of.
It has cost the taxpayers over $400,000 on this one individual.
See that? Recidivism continues. They're back again and again. Of his 152 arrests, Rodriguez barely cracks the top 10 of so-called frequent flyers.
Once they walk out our door, we no longer have responsibility, nor do we have jurisdiction over those cases, and many times they come back over and over and over again.
There you go. 2,000 inmates are in custody any given day at Metro Corrections. And with men and women in orange like Rodriguez, Bolton believes if there were resources to help them, they wouldn't return.
We need to probably start dealing with folks a little bit more collaboratively and collectively, because number one, it's going to save a lot of money and a lot of dollars, but maybe, just maybe, we can mitigate a person's issues.
Fingerprinted 152 times. You got to read this story on wave3.com. There's also a slideshow of Alejandro Rodriguez through the years. You can go to that just at the bottom of the homepage there. And Janelle and Scott, you know, their budget is $52 million a year for Metro Corrections. $400,000, not necessarily a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, and we hear about this 3 strikes and you're out kind of thing, but well, it doesn't apply here.
Because these are misdemeanors and infractions. He's just getting through the system. He's doing his time and then he's let back out.
Wow. We'll see if there can be some changes made to prevent that happening in the future. I mean, it sounds good, but probably easier said than done.
And a lot of the resources are going into mental health counseling and other sources out there so that people can get help. And we'll talk about that a little later. We'll be digging into this story for quite a time now.
All right. Thanks, Scott.